Hello, can you hear me? Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Hello, welcome to Atomic Movie Reviews Film Society. I'm your host, Atomicon Rex. Here we discuss films that have a narrative background in aliens, ghosts, robots, and creatures. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So what movie did we see last week? I streamed the movie Evil Dead Rises. And so I'll give you a little bit of background, a little bit of my thoughts of what I thought about it. So the title of the movie was Evil Dead Rises. It came out 2023. I forget the director's name. I know it's not Rami, and I forget the lead actor. I should probably just look that up, but it's irrelevant. Okay, so point number one, what are some of the plot and narrative predictions? I thought it was going to be an origin movie, being that the title said Rise. You know, like evil rises for the first time, so that's why I thought they were going with that. What was the genre? It's a supernatural horror movie. Cinematography, live action, original work. Yeah, this is like the 5th installment in the franchise. I even believe there's a comic book. I know there's a TV show with it's like Ash versus the Evil Dead or something like that. I know there's a comic book where Ash versus, I think, like Freddy Krueger versus, I don't know, some other ghost creature. He's basically placed as like a Ghostbuster in the Evil Dead like franchise type of. That's kind of what that's the role he plays. Ash, the original hero in the original Evil Dead franchise. So just a little bit of background when it comes to me watching this film. Like, I watched the Evil Dead, what was it, Enemy of Darkness or Army of Darkness in the theaters. And so, you know, this movie, and I loved it. So I also liked the last remake. I believe the last remake was a little better than this one, but we'll dive into that a little bit. So it's this one is it a remake or what is it? I think it stands alone. I think this movie stands alone. It's not an original work. Like I said, it's like either the 3rd, 4th, or 5th installment. But it's also not a continuation of anything that came before. But it's not a remake, okay? Because it's not based in the cabin this time. This one it's based in the apartment complex. Okay, anyways. So set design. The effects were practical. Most of them. I didn't really notice too much CGI effects. They're all pretty practical, except towards the end where you get to the big bad and, you know, it's a CGI mess. What TV tropes or plot conventions did I notice in the film? The beginning is the end. That was probably like the main plot point that I noticed in the film, that the beginning of the movie is actually the end. So okay, well, let's get into the characters. So the hero is basically the pregnant sister of the main antagonist, the person that gets possessed. I don't know any of their names. I didn't really like this movie, to be honest with you. I had to really dig deep to find out some information to talk about. Okay, so she's a pregnant tattoo artist, I think she is. And I'm not sure why I don't even know why she's even at the apartment or, you know, moving back in with her sister. But that's basically how the movie starts. It starts with her showing up at her sister's apartment and needing a place to stay. Okay, so the villain. All right, so the villains are the Deadites. Okay, they're these various demonic entities that possess people, and they possess the mother in this movie. And so the mother is like the main villain, but she's actually possessed. Well, she's possessed by the Deadites. It was pretty interesting in this version of the Possessed because the Deadites clearly killed the mom before like taking over her body. And so that's something that's really not really touched upon in Possessed movies, where like the Possessed, it's always revolved around driving the entity out of the possessed, right? Like you could still save the soul of the human being. Well, in this one, she was dead. Okay, so there was no saving her. There was no driving out the demon. You're gonna have to kill that demon completely in this one. Another thing I liked about the demons is that since there were various demons that possessed people, you can tell that they were different because the color of their eyes were different. So the main demon that possessed the mother, she had these crazy red eyes. But the other demons, one had like blue eyes, I think, and the other one had like white eyes. You could tell that there were actually different demons. It wasn't just one demon possessing multiple people. There were actually different spirits, demonic spirits possessing people. I thought that was pretty interesting. The damsel in distress. Well, it was the baby girl. It was the youngest child. She was captured by the demon monster towards the end of the movie. She should have died. Like if that was a bear or a goddamn wolf or something, that child would be dead. Okay, but the demon just kept her captured for some reason so she could be saved. And so that was that. All right, the sidekick. I'm going to have to give it to the oldest one, the oldest boy. He was the only one, although he released the demon, he was the only one who actually really fought back and actually had information onto what was actually going on. Okay, because without him, if you take him out of the situation, I don't even think the pregnant sister would have survived that night. Okay, because she wouldn't have did any research. She wouldn't have listened to the recording and actually got to find out what was going on. Okay, let's talk about the weapons. So the main weapon in this is the Book of the Dead. They have a special name for it, the Necronomicon. It's not the Necronomicon in this. It's a different name, but it's the Necronomicon. I like how they depicted the Book of the Dead in this film, because basically the demon uses the book as a weapon. So it would flip through pages, okay, and manifest whatever it saw on the page. Okay, and it would like go back and forth, flipping through pages, depending on what it needed to do. It would use the book as a guideline of sorts, like a menu. And it really, you really notice it when it becomes the demon monster at the end of the movie. Like you get the feeling that it could have took on any form in that book. Okay, but it just settled on this one. So another point I wanted to bring up was that they didn't touch on, I didn't notice, was the magical coin that the oldest child had put in his pocket. See, during the dinner scene, the diner scene, when they're eating pizza, the little girl brings up this ghost story about a bank that's haunted underneath the hotel room, and that you have to carry like a coin in your pocket or the ghost will haunt you, or something along those lines, right? So as the demonic terror starts to descend on this apartment complex, you notice the little boy took that coin and put it in his pocket. So I was like, oh, that's like a kind of a magic amulet, okay, and that's gonna end up protecting him. So that's kind of like my mid-plot prediction. I was just like, watch that coin being the coin that actually ends up saving his life. Yeah, I was wrong. That was completely, utterly wrong about that. The coin didn't help me at all. Okay, anyways, so another weapon I think that Demon used was the recording itself. Okay, because on the recording there was a chant. All right, and once that chant was played, the Demon was able to kind of anchor down onto that apartment complex. And I would go so further to say is that the actual apartment became haunted and possessed. Okay, because I don't think it was using like telekinesis to like move the elevator around or anything like that. I think it had the whole apartment complex under its spell, on some Twilight Zone, interdimensional, haunting, possession thing. That's what I think. Just the way, I mean, the apartment itself was a character in the movie. And we're gonna be honest. You know, the elevator came to life. You know, there was blood everywhere, blood coming out of the walls. Like the actual apartment was a character in the show itself. And then you have your typical chainsaw and shotgun. You have to give that to the main hero because that's basically Ash's main weapon. You know, it's Freddy Krueger with his knives, Jason Voorhees with his machete. So you had to throw the shotgun in there and the chainsaw, more or less the chainsaw. Okay, because that's basically a throwback to the original Evil Dead. Okay, anyways, so the locality is inside of the apartment. It's not placed in a cabin in the woods. This one's downtown LA. It's a condemned apartment, so of course it looks rat infested and broken down. It looks like a haunted house for a haunted house story. So, you know, was the acting good? Yeah, the acting was good. I think everybody was pretty much on point. The possessed girl, the mother, you know, I don't remember the character's name. Everybody's saying that it was the best performance ever. She was okay. Like, I don't think it was the best performance ever, but those little kids, like that poor little girl, you know she's traumatized, right? Because I don't know. I'm pretty sure she's traumatized. But the acting was good. Okay, what was the cultural impact of the movie? Did it break any new ground? No, not really. It broke a little new ground that it expanded the lore of the Book of the Dead, of the Necronomicon, a little bit, but it didn't really, I didn't see anything in the movie that I couldn't see anywhere else. Okay, so basically the big bad, the monster, it should have just been a spider. Like, if they would have pulled the spider from the movie It, I would have been just satisfied with that. But this sluggish, multi-armed, crappy glob thing that they put at the end of this was just lame. And the monster ruined the movie for me. Like, it was a good movie until the last act, and I just couldn't take him seriously anymore. Because one, you just run away from it. Now, if they would have made the monsters truly supernatural, okay, where it had like all of these arms and everything, and you try to run across the parking lot, and then boom, it just teleported, and then it was on the other side of the parking lot. If they had did something along those lines, like made it really supernatural, I would have been fine with that. But they literally made this monster. You remember the Child's Play 2 movie? And at the end of the movie, Chucky gets like trapped into that device, that factory device, and they started melting all of those plastic arms into him, and what was left was this melted goo of plastic, blood, and random arms and legs sticking out, but wasn't a threat. Like, you could just run away from it, and that was that. That's what this movie reminded me of. I thought that shit was lame as hell. Anyways, okay, so what is the rating system? Well, see, I streamed it. I streamed it for $19.99 just because I wanted to get this movie review out to you guys. I don't think it's worth that. I think you should wait till it drops to about $4.99, even Redbox this bad boy. If you do buy this one, I don't think it's better than the last remake. You know, like if you're into the Evil Dead franchise or you just like horror movies, I can see you buying this. But apart from that, you might as well just wait until it hits Netflix and just stream it, you know, October 31st. That would be my my recommendation. I do not recommend you buy this movie. Not because it's a bad movie. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. Okay, so anyways, summary and recommendations. So movie is basically supernatural horror. It's focused on demonic possession. It's a fifth installment of the franchise, I believe. Don't like etch that into stone. This one is not, there's not a lot of comedy. The demon is not funny. Like the magic of the last Evil Dead, I didn't really find it in this one. But it was a good horror movie. It did the job. So I do recommend you streaming this bad boy for $4.99 unless I think that's it. That's all I got for you guys. Tom Conrex out. Talk to you later. Bye.